Welcome back, everyone, to the Frum Health Club podcast. I'm your host, Mendel Krashinsky. Here at the Frum Health Club, we believe that health isn't separate from our Yiddishkeit, it's all part of it. When we strengthen our health, we become better able to serve Hashem, our families, and our communities with energy and joy. Today's guest is Rabbi Moshe Chaim Proctor, a Rebbi at Aish HaTorah, life coach, and founder of the podcast Above the Rim and Within. His story is powerful. After losing his mother at a young age, Moshe Chaim poured his energy into basketball, which became both his outlet and his training ground for life. Over time, he transformed that drive into purpose, using his experience in sports and personal growth to inspire others towards strength, balance, and inner clarity. In this episode, we'll discuss his journey, what health means in Avodas Hashem, and how we can begin to shift the way the Frum world views fitness and well-being. Moshe, welcome to the podcast.
Mendel, thank you so much for having me. It's a real schus, a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. So if you can share a bit about your journey, your earlier years, of course, your story, if you could share that with us.
Sure. So I grew up in Monsey, New York, to two beautiful parents, both parents of which were, Balei Tshuva, had their own journeys, their own experiences, how they, came to the fold. Grew up in Monsey, New York. I like to say my first 8 years of childhood were normal, healthy, younger brother, 2 years younger sister. Overall healthy American childhood. My father calls our family yeshivish light, whatever that means. The best of both worlds we're experiencing, we're enjoying life. Now, when I was 8 years old, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. To make a long story short, because I know, we have a beautiful podcast to get into. For 2 long years, she fought her best, different treatments, different places. When I was 10, she was 40. God Almighty said, Miriam Proctor, my mother, should be a schus and aliyah for her neshama. I want you to come back here to us. And God took away my mother. When I was 10, my younger brother's 8, sister was 4. And now I'm 10 years old. And it's like, hey, where's my mother at? Questions, concerns. Like, I'm not, you want me to start getting into Judaism, 11, 12, 13 bar mitzvah years, but I'm not really down. I'm not really interested because I don't really believe in God. And even if God's there, I'm upset at him, right? Took away my mom. Yeah. So then growing up in Monsey, the whole modern Orthodox circle wasn't popular. There was no modern Orthodox things. So it was known to us that there was a concept called Modox, modern Orthodoxy. You can have the best of both worlds. Again, fast forwarding. So I ended up going to high school in Teaneck. Modern Orthodox High School, TABC. We'll give a shout out to TABC. It's a great place, great institution. And already from a young age, it was pretty clear that I have a certain talent and a passion, which is basketball. Basketball saved me from the streets of New York. I say that literally, figuratively.
Wow.
A lot of kids, when they go off the derech or trying to find themselves, they get involved in drinking, smoking, drugs. I've never, and especially as a child, until this day, drinking, smoking, drugs. Because I had basketball as an outlet, and I'm sure we'll get into this later. I had unconditional love from my dad, who did his best job. And then again, the rest is history, playing basketball in high school in an incredible way, representing the Jewish, the Maccabi team, representing the United States, being selected amongst the best Jewish 16-year-olds in America for basketball, winning a gold medal in the country of Chile, trainers, AAU stuff, being scouted by, Yeshiva University, and then some. And, the guys that are great at Yeshiva University now, Ryan Terrell and Zevi Samit and all these boys, that I'm sure your audience knows of, these are my boys, we played ball in high school together. And that started the whole journey, and through basketball, and then slowly but surely maturing and coming back to God, and really myself coming to Israel, studied in Aish for 3 years myself as a student, onto the Meir Yeshiva, and then, thank God, getting married and coming back and being a rabbi here, really just trying to bring life together and the life experiences that we go through together. And that's the short version, Mendel, of on 1 foot of what I've gone through.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So, you just described about basketball, being that outlet, after such a big tragedy happened in your life. What do you think that gave you, in terms of structure, escape? Why do you think that? I mean, it did a great job in terms of as it mentioned, keeping you off the streets and keeping you off from other really, unhealthier things that you could be doing. And plus it's, it's great for your health. So what else what do you think it gave you?
Exactly what you said about those. Structure, balance. It gave me space. It gave me space to let out my aggression, let out this that's within. A person is only, look at a tea kettle. You can turn up the fire, and then the water starts bubbling, and then after a certain point, if you don't lower the fire, the top's coming off. And in life, especially a child, a young adult, a teenager who goes through different experiences, he needs to have a healthy, positive outlet. If not, he'll burst, he'll blow up, he'll XYZ. I think we all, we know what we're talking about over here. So basketball gave me that space. And I remember when I was in fifth grade, I said, I'm done playing with fifth graders. I'm only playing with eighth graders. I like that competition, like that aggressiveness. And, being 6'3", I use my God-given height to play. And I to this day, I love basketball, love playing it, and I'm a big basketball fan.
Nice. That's great. Okay, and if you could share maybe like what was the moment when you realized that same energy that you put into into sports could be redirected into more meaning and growth.
Yeah, certainly. So that came, I think, when I came over to Israel, after I graduated high school, and I came to Aish. I was actually in Aish for 3 years before leaving Aish as a student, and just being involved in real Jewish experiences and recognizing again, and the Holy Baal Shem Tov. I think we're both connected with the Baal Shem Tov. He taught us that it's the same fire, it's the same drive, the same desire. You just have to channel it. You have to learn how to channel it, and it requires seeing Judaism in an authentic way. If Judaism is just about making a bunch of checks, I have a box and check, and what we call the Yotz design, just to accomplish, just to finish things. And okay, God, I strapped up that I put on tefillin and zehu, and that's it. Then of course nobody's interested in it. But if you recognize that same fire and that same drive that I have in sports, I can channel towards God. Plus, if I may add, Mandel, that I'm sure we'll speak about this in the next 45 minutes, that it's not a contradiction. That part and parcel of my Judaism and my relationship with God is me being healthy, me being balanced emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally. So over the years, just learning that, experiencing that, and coming to witness that it's all here. It's all here in Judaism. It's really all here.
Yeah, definitely. So you've spoken about, I heard this in the Living L'Chaim podcast, great interview, about quitting soda like as a teenager and just like being more health conscious, like pretty early on. So what core health habits do you live by now, both physically and mentally could be?
Yeah, sure. So back to that soda. So when I was in high school, in 9th grade, our TABC, they didn't offer a proper lunch program. So what happens is parents would give money to the kids to be able to go out, buy lunch, in the surrounding vicinity, go out to eat. And of course, you need something quick, something that'll fill you up, nutritious or not. A man's got to eat. So, there's a pizza shop right down the road. I started pizza, Slurpee, French fries, soda for a few dollars. And then it hit me January 15th, 2015. I was in Los Angeles in my grandmother's jacuzzi. Shout out to my grandma over here. And I looked down on my stomach, and I took a pull on my stomach, pull on my love handles, those who know the term, the extra gird, the extra, skin, the flub around my stomach that's not meant to be there. And I said, Mo, right? My name is Moshe Chaim, used to go by Mo. Mo, you're fat, you're out of shape, you're killing yourself with the soda and Slurpee. Enough is enough. And I'm proud to say from that moment forward, we're going 10 plus, we're on more than 10 years now, Mendel. I haven't had a sip of soda since.
Wow.
Which is just my person. Again, now I'm not gonna, we're not gonna demand it from all the viewers and all the listeners, but the concept that if you pour Coca-Cola on a car, it rusts. It rusts. If my body's a template, it's crazy. That's crazy. So I have a gift from God. I'm made up of body and soul, right? The Tanya speaks about this. I'm made up of body and soul. God gave me my body as a vessel to reveal the kochos, the strengths that my soul has in a unique, positive way. That's special to me. But if I'm going to come and the same way, I'm not going to walk around with a gun because I may shoot myself, God forbid, and I'm not going to do detrimental things. I'm not going to walk in the middle of the street when the car is coming. I'm not going to put soda in my car or do detrimental. I'm not going to smoke. Right? I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to overindulge in alcohol, and I'm not just going to do things that are going to damage my health and well-being. For a simple pleasure now, which is may not even be a pleasure, but call it a pleasure now. But the concept of sacrifice now, gain later, that I want to live long, healthy, happy years. And what I put in is what I put out. So if I'm putting that garbage in my body, Yeah, it's soda, but it goes, much more than soda. If I'm putting garbage in my body, then, hey, you're going to be lethargic. You're going to be sleepy. Your face may break out with acne, whatever it may be, because you're putting garbage in your body. It's that simple. What you put in is what you get out.
100%. Something that I've heard a lot from like big health coaches is that there's a great rule. If your great grandfather or grandmother wouldn't recognize what that is, probably shouldn't be eating it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
really?
yeah,
They say,
yeah.
They say if it comes, a famous quote, if it comes from a plant, eat it. If it's made in a plant, don't eat it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Again, and I want to put in for all those viewers who are trying to make small habit changes and positively, strengthen themselves. Again, it's not about a diet. It's not about starving yourself, and it's not becoming extreme. Sure. It's about changing my mindset from I'm now limiting myself to now I'm improving myself and I'm leveling up. Right? If you have a beautiful car and sometimes you got to bring it into the shop to level up, and you want new rims, new steering wheel, you want leather seats, you want the upgrade because I got to take care of my car. My body's my Lambo. I'm a Lamborghini. If I put diesel fuel in my Lambo, it ain't going to run properly, right? Exactly. I need premium leaded fuel.
Exactly. So another question I have, so if someone feels they don't have time for exercise, what's some realistic first steps they could take?
I would rephrase the question, Mendel. Every single person in this world has time for exercise if they so choose to make time for exercise, right? In life, I'll give a shout out here to my dad over here. My dad used to give a seminar it's called Only Two Reasons. There are only two reasons why a person won't do something in life. And those two reasons are, remember this for life, guys, too much fear, I'm too afraid of something, or lack of perceived value. I don't value something enough. So in terms of exercise, right, we don't fear it. Most of us don't fear exercise. We don't perceive the value. So if you don't perceive the value, you're not going to do it. The goal is to decrease the fear, increase the value. So, okay. So yeah, for that person who says he doesn't have time, but yet he really wants to do it, I'll tell him, I'll look in the face of my man, you do have time. You don't need 5 hours a day. And no, you don't have to go to the gym every day. It's just about ideas. How can I move from a sedentary lifestyle to a more active lifestyle? How can I start implementing small things? And again, once I start building up the desire, then I'll see, hey, I have a desire. I can accomplish more, right? Something I think you saw on my status a few days back. I had the pleasure to meet Mr. Dr. Rabbi Michael Kaufman, the one who wrote this. He wrote a book, Am I My Body's Keeper? And the man, this is fascinating. And as soon as I heard this, I took it upon myself. Bli neder, without any oaths, God willing, I want to do this. The man is, Hashem should bless him, long, healthy years. He's 92 years old, 92 and a half. He's lived in this old age home for 10 years. He said to me, Moshe Chaim, do you know how many times I've taken the elevator in this building in 10 years? 5 times. The man's 92, Mendel, 92, and he's taking the elevator 5 times. Use your feet. So something like that where a person says, okay, I can get off the couch. I can, I put out a clip yesterday. I said, right, many of us involved in sports, we love sports. Right now you have the NFL going, MLB, the World Series, the NBA happening. You have to watch, you're going to watch highlights in the morning. Great, so do it on a treadmill. Go on a treadmill, at least walk and watch instead of just sitting on your couch. So it's a mind shift. And instead of a diet, it's a lifestyle. I want to live healthy. Instead of chowing down the white bread, I'll have whole wheat bread or spelt. Instead of, 3 slices of pizza, I'll start cutting down to 2 and I'll work with myself. It's a lifestyle. And it's a snowball effect. It starts building. It's building, right? Ask anyone that goes to the gym, exercise, and mental. I see a post in the morning. Anyone who runs, who balls, who exercises, who lifts, they walk out feeling like the president of the United States, right? They're walking like, man, I feel awesome. I feel awesome. So instead of getting that dopamine rush from drugs, alcohol, scrolling on TikTok or Instagram for hours on end, hey, let me get that rush, that positive inspiration, belief in self-esteem from exercise. And it just the world it opens up, becomes a beautiful place, really.
100%. Couldn't agree more with that. Do you see physical discipline being connected to, having stronger spiritual discipline?
100%. If I could say, okay, I'm not going to have pizza now because it's not positive for me. So I'm walking on the street, I can guard my eyes when it's difficult for me. Again, easier said than done, but the concepts are, hey, Shabbos, I have a desire to use my phone, but the same way I'm able to rep out a bench press when it's difficult for me, I'm able to push the extra 30 seconds on the treadmill, I can abstain from using my phone on Shabbos. It's all just discipline. It's just habits. It's habits, which is why, right, you mentioned the podcast earlier. I have a podcast, Above the Rim and Within, which is again, I don't want to speak too much about it, but we take positive
I wanted
points.
to actually ask about it. So yeah, definitely.
I want to
share. Yeah.
Okay. We're on break now, the podcast, but we've done 15 episodes where I said to myself, look, for better, for worse, us Jewish people, especially the youth, we love sports figures. We look up to them. It's a reality. You like it or not, it's a reality. Our job, our directive as Yidden, as Jews, God says, is to be mevarer ochel mitoch hapsolist. Take the positive from the negative. So I'm not necessarily going to learn how to treat my wife from these players, but there's positive, there's disciplines, there's things to learn from them. So we take a player and we take 5 points from his life, right? LeBron, Kobe, MJ, all the players, 5 points from his life each episode, and relate those 5 points to our growth and self-discovery, self-improvement, and relationship with God, which is, again, what we're saying, that if a person just lifestyle choices, it's who do I want to surround myself with? Do I want to surround myself with the kids that, bumming out and go to sleep at 2:00 at night and they're drinking until late and they're gambling and they're, vaping and smoking? It's, hey, I only have the one life to live. It's my choice. How do I want to live it? The greatest investment one can make is in themselves. So you want to invest in crypto and gas and whatever. Beautiful. But the greatest investment has started right here. Self-esteem. That I look at myself in the mirror and I'm happy with what I see. I get inspired to look at myself. Yes, I can Google YouTube videos from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and other people and get inspiration to lift weights for sure. But at the end of the day, it's all about not, I see this, I watch this guy on social media and I get sad, frustrated, and it puts me back in bed. No, rather, I look at this guy, I watch LeBron, I watch Steph, I'm watching The Rock, and I take that inspiration from my life, that I want to invest in myself. And when a person starts investing in themselves, Mendel, their life changes. It's like if they have a day missing a workout, it's like, I feel that. I feel different. I want that. Yeah. I want that. I invest in myself.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You were mentioning Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it's pretty interesting. I was watching a podcast a couple of days ago with him and Dr. Mark Hyman. He's one of the most famous functional medicine doctors. And he's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's personal doctor. And Dwayne was just mentioning that he believes that the greatest gift that you can give to your children is your health. Like there's nothing greater than that. And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. My grandmother loves telling me, that I think it was her daughter, my mother's 16th birthday, she bought them a gym membership.
Wow. Yeah.
It's free. Again, gym or not gym, right? I know you're more of a runner. You like running outside in nature and stuff. And just again, I put on my status this morning, whether it's walking, jogging, running, playing ball, swimming, cycling, just do something to get your body active, your heart pumping, racing. And the beautiful thing about exercise is that it will positively impact and affect all areas of your life. I'm a true believer in this. It'll help your spiritual relationship with God, your prayer, your learning, your relationship with spouse, with children. You'll feel better about yourself. It'll just, it's phenomenal. And this is a big, he writes in his book, it's Michael Kaufman writes in his book, all about the idea of preemptive medicine. And hey, it's a concept of Judaism as well, makdim l'refuah l'maka, that before you have the illness, take care of yourself, right? Be proactive. Don't just have to be reactive. So.
Definitely. Yeah. So this is actually a question from one of our members in the group, in the Frum Health Club WhatsApp group. How can a person balance ambition and health with humility? Like staying driven, but not ego driven. How does someone do that?
It's a great question, Mendel. Again, I'm not sure how old this person asking the question is, but what I found for myself and, when advising youth, teenagers, or young adults, just do it. Meaning you don't have to be posting shirtless pictures every day and you're flexing your biceps for an hour in the mirror trying to see what your gains are. But it's okay. It's okay that it's okay that a person is not at the level that I'm exercising completely to fulfill, right? We know this, by the way, just parenthetically, the only mitzvah in the Torah that says ma'od very is v'nishmartem ma'od asaf shosechem, guard your health. So the idea of health is, ma'od, very important to God, as we see. But when it comes to a kid exercising, or even a young adult, or wherever you find yourself in life, as long as you're trying to be level-headed, even if you're not exercising completely for the right reasons, but you want to look good. That's a good reason. You see, often in life, we mistake haughtiness with self-esteem. Haughtiness is something frowned upon, something that, okay, God says, right, Chazal, our rabbis tell us in the Gemara that I can't dwell with somebody who's haughty, says God. But when it comes to self-esteem and belief in self and investment in self, not only is that not frowned upon by God, God wants that. He wants that. You have to have self-esteem, right? Because we know the goal of life, and as us as Jews in whole, is to build a relationship with God. But a relationship implies that it's mutual, it's two-sided. If there's no self, there's no self-esteem, there's no self-worth. If I don't love myself, there can't be a relationship with God. So God says, I need you to invest in yourself. So part of investing in self, right? So you'll tell me in Europe, they didn't necessarily go to the gym, they didn't run around, 5 miles a day. Perhaps, okay, but their entire life wasn't sedentary. Right? They weren't sitting behind a computer. True. They were washing clothing by the well. They were out in the field. They were moving. They were doing things, right? Everything required avoda, required work. We're sitting. So we got to get up. We got to do. So the answer to that question is just put your head down and do work. Find a part of exercise that speaks to you. Stick with it, and look at it. If you have a platform, if you can inspire others to do it, then do it. Do it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, before I get back to you, Mendel, and just one thing that I try to do, and many people do this before they start exercising, say, Hareini mechavin, l'kayem mitzvahs aseh shel v'rishmar t'mod esav shosechem. A saying of intent. Behold, I'm about to exercise. I have in mind to fulfill the positive commandment from the Torah of guarding my health. And then a person can start his exercise with that spiritual infusion,
Yeah, definitely. So I want to ask you a little bit, maybe this is a little bit controversial, I don't know, let's see. Why do you think there's often a negative or maybe dismissive attitude towards working out or fitness in some, parts of Frum communities?
Yeah, great question, Mendel. Something that it fires me up, fires you up, fires a lot of us up. Look, there's a miss. Take a step back. The ultra-Orthodox population in general, especially after Europe, wanted to recreate Europe as much as they can, which is insulation, to insulate and isolate from the rest of the society, the rest of the world. So you have the Western civilizations and you have Greek, right? Yavan, and everything is Rome and the amphitheater and Olympics, and right, they're pumping up and right, praising the body, right? Actually, Charlie Harari, the famous Charlie Harari, he's visiting the Aish, so he spoke about this morning. So that you have that, sect of people that just pumping up the body and Mr. Olympia and everything about that. Mm-hmm. And so the ultra-Orthodox say, okay, we want to isolate from that. We want to recreate Europe. Okay, so it's, without getting into that whole topic of discussion, whether that's right or wrong. However, they went to a certain extreme that anything that's similar and that's relatable to that society, we're going to cut ourselves off from. What's with our health? They have a passive, okay, we'll look past it. Now, their intentions may be right. However, the reality is on many fronts. Number one, we don't move like we used to, so we have to exercise. Number two, we need it for our self-esteem. If not, a person is going to be sad and depressed, straight up. Number three, we don't live in Europe anymore. So we just have to find different ways to inspire ourselves, to keep ourselves fit, to move. And it's super important. It's super important. Again, for a lot of them, it's not that they're so anti. There's just a lack of understanding, a lack of awareness. We just have to make things aware. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So something is, I have a neighbor in my apartment building and he smokes, and it bothers the heck out of me. Now, we know our rabbis tell us if you can tell someone something to improve them, then you should. But if they're not going to listen, it's going to push them further, then don't tell. You have a mitzvah not to say. So I'm not sure if me staying in him is going to help the guy, because I think he's beyond despair. I just feel sad for him. But yes, it's clear smoking kills. So stop smoking. And vaping, they say vaping is perhaps even worse because the oils that are in the vape that just get stuck, to your arteries, into your lungs, and whatever's going on. I mean, it's just awareness, a certain awareness. And you know what? And I tell the person, that ultra-Orthodox person, whoever may be watching, and says, hey, you can't go to the gym, it's not for me. No problem. So don't go to the gym. So walk. There's a rabbi in this yeshiva right here in the old city. Thank God he lives in Ramat Eshkol. He doesn't bike. He doesn't bus. He walks, speed walks in like 25 minutes here and back from Manashkol every single day. Take care of your health somehow, some way, you know?
Yeah, walking is so...
And I'm sorry, and one more thing, and to understand that a lot of the big rabbis actually said you have to exercise, you have to play, you have to do things, you know, especially people with our background who are American, who know, right? I mentioned I went to TBC, I grew up more modern Orthodox, and then, you know, I became more, again, I hate labeling, you'll see, I hate labeling because it divides us, but you can see by the way I'm dressed, you know, I'm not exactly the blue shirt and whatever. Nevertheless, my rabbi told me, he said, as you become more, whatever you define yourself as now, don't give up, don't relinquish the benefits, the positive attributes, the knowledge you had in your past self. Super important to take those experiences, that knowledge with you. So whether it be basketball or the importance of health and nutrition, right? So somebody who doesn't know any better, right? A child who puts his hands on the fire, you get ticked off at him and you'll say, okay, but the kid doesn't know any better. So you have to teach him.
Yeah.
So that ultra-Orthodox person who doesn't know about health and he thinks eating mazonos, eating wagalach in the morning before he goes to his shir is important or is the way to do it, we have to teach him. And you'll be surprised because if you just teach in a positive, non-condescending way, they're open, they want to hear, they want to improve themselves, you know?
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned walking. I think walking is so underrated. People don't understand, like with 3 15-minute walks, you can get in like 10,000 steps, which is,
Wow.
you know, so it's definitely, and it's simple, you know, it doesn't have to be complex, doesn't have to be all these things. It's pretty simple.
Exactly. It's rewiring the brain. We're so sedentary. We're so just programmed for comfort. What more comfort? What less walking? What more elevator? What more car? My man, you live 3 minutes from the shul. You don't have to drive there. Walk to shul. You know,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't have to schlep a carriage to the store to carry the groceries. You do 3 minutes, especially in Israel, right? The Makola, it's 2 minutes away. Carry the groceries. You know, you know, sometimes, you know, instead of, you know, pushing my son in their stroller to Gan, to his, you know, play group, I carry him. Why not? Just start trading yourself. Like it's fun. It becomes a game. It's a game, right? My son who's 2 years old, sometimes on Erev Shabbos, Friday afternoon, we're at home together. I say push-ups, and then we just drop and do some push-ups. It's fun. It's you know, it's a habit. So
yeah, and the kids see it and they build good habits, and it's beautiful. Yeah. So next question kind of ties into that. So what can teachers, you know, schools, maybe parents do to make physical well-being, you know, a value that's respected and not, you know, frowned upon or, you know, mocked or whatever?
yeah, first the answer is they themselves have to learn about it. They have to make sure they're holding it and they understand the importance of it, right? You have to and number two, you have to practice what you preach. If they say, look, we had a student here in Aish HaTorah last, you know, I hope this is not controversial, or even if it is, I'm happy. We keep, Mendel knows, you know, here in this podcast, we keep it the way it is. We say it the way it is. You know, a student asked in one of the classes last year in Aish HaTorah, he said, you know, would it make sense that an observant rabbi should keep all of Torah? And the rabbi responded, yes. Obviously, the guy should keep the whole Torah, the rabbi should keep the whole Torah. So he says, so why are so many rabbis or whatever, why are they overweight? Why are they out of shape? And Mendel, I'm sorry to say that the question was much greater than the answer the rabbi gave. Meaning, there's no excuse. Yes, if you have some genetic things and you're trying your best, whatever, but for the normal person, there's no excuse. So the teacher, the rabbi, the mentor, the parent, number one, yes, speak about it. Number two, practice what you preach. If the kid sees that the parent, the teacher is actually exercising and walking and not drinking soda, but drinking water or seltzer or healthy alternatives and being healthy and balanced, right? Balance is the big thing of ours. Healthy and balanced, and you can live a beautiful life. So you're really making Kiddush Hashem, then it's automatically, right? We had a rabbi in Aish last year tell us, or when I was a student here, he said, your actions should speak so loud that people won't even be able to hear what you have to say. Just from your actions alone, you're embodying someone who's powerful, someone who lives with God. Your actions do the talking, right? So I don't have to go and speak about exercise. You see me, I'm in the gym every day. Watch it. So if the teacher, if we can start developing a culture where, especially, you know, as the older generation, Hashem shall bless them long, healthy years, but as the older generation fades, and us youth who have energy, who have excitement, who are connected with social media, connected with the younger generation, it's incumbent upon us to work on ourselves in this manner, to be disciplined, to exercise ourselves. And yes, it may be hard, there's kids, and find time, eat healthier, eat cleaner, and that'll be the greatest lesson and teaching to the next generation. The same way if a
Exactly.
parent is a first-time parent has to learn how to change a diaper for the first time, and has to learn how to get up in the evening when at night when the kid's crying, got to learn to take care of your health. And you'll be surprised, a lot of these rabbis or people that we meet, or forget rabbis, ultra-Orthodox, again, it's just lack of knowledge, they just don't know better. They don't know. They don't know. I have a person, I'm not going to name his name, but he's a famous person, works in Aish HaTorah, and he said, Moshe Chaim, your status is, about health and this, it's plucking in one after one, and I'm almost at the breaking point. I'm almost going to have to start exercising. And he admits he wants to. He's just like, he's and he's a I'm not going to say, he's a world-renowned person, and he's almost there. You got to just keep doing it, and it becomes a habit. It's awesome. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Again, it's a lifestyle. It's not restrictive. Same with Judaism. Let's talk for the Yiddishkeit for a second. With the 613, right? Do I view it as rules and restrictions? Oh, I can't do this. Can't go out with her. Can't do this. Can't look at this. Or is it tips and tricks how to lead the most productive lifestyle in this world? This is what we teach the guys. Olam Haba is far away. Yes, we all believe in it, or we want to believe in it, but it doesn't speak to our generation. I'm an observant Jew, Mendel. I'm telling you for this world. That it's the best life in this world. And when you're connected with God, you can have your car, have your restaurants, have your beautiful house, have your beautiful wife, have your exercise, have all the pleasures, but I'm doing it in a positive, permissible way connected with God. And that's the message we have to give over. It's a lifestyle. It's a positive, healthy, uplifting lifestyle where I'm lifting people up and I'm smiling and I'm saying, hey, bro, I liked your cut. You look nice. Or dapping people up and I'm proud of you. Or when I have students come into my class, ask my students, I say, hey, did you just come from the gym? They said, yeah. I said, do you hit shoulders right now? Do you just hit shoulders?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what? No. I said, Rabbi, no. I said, I see the pump in your shoulders. You just give, and for me, it's like, yeah, I'm proud of you. Taking care of your health, Doesn't mean you have to be in the gym for 3 hours a day. It just means I'm there 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'm taking care of my health. And it has the world of impact. So.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into a little bit more like practical advice. And if you could share with us a little bit about maybe like your morning routine, what does that look like, when you're at your best?
Yeah, sure. When I'm at my best, mental, it's definitely, going to sleep as early as I possibly can. I'm blessed, my wife and I got married just about 3 years ago. We have a beautiful son who's almost 2 years old. Again, I don't have one son, one child, I don't have 5, 10 kids, and I may be speaking differently then, yet at this point in my life, I try to go to sleep, somewhere in the early 9s and wake up in the, whatever, you understand, before daybreak, I try to wake up, somewhere in the 4s. And then the way I start my day, I wake up in the 4s, and then I try to learn before davening, then I daven dates, and then I go right to the gym. And then by 8 o'clock or so, I've already learned, daven, and gone to the gym. Right, the famous adage, early to bed, early to rise keeps a man healthy, wealthy, and wise, is not for nothing. It's real. Ask yourselves, how many of us are really productive after 10 o'clock at night? So people say, no, that's when I wake up. That's when I get, it's scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, watching videos, whatever. So some of us, yes, but if you go to sleep, you wake up so don't wake up at 4, wake up at 5, wake up at 6. But I have a schedule. I'm routined, right? I have a routine. And I get a routine, I get in a flow, and okay, yes, I go to daven and then I go to the gym, and we just get in a habit and a flow, and it becomes second nature, right? The same way we're not thinking about breathing right now because it's second nature, and when we walk, it's second nature. If you get in a positive habit, so again, for myself, definitely, I cannot work out in the evening, no chance. I play basketball in the evenings, once the Shabbos or something, but in terms of exercising, definitely best in the morning. I have energy, kochos, and I highly recommend most people, go to sleep. Go to sleep, man, woman, child, go to sleep. Things are happening outside, there's games going on, parties, people, go to sleep. You go to sleep, you can wake up healthy, refreshed, and then you can, lead a beautiful life. So that's a tip of mine, a big tip.
Yeah, sleep is definitely huge. Have you heard of this guy named Brian Johnson? So
I don't think so.
He's the founder of Venmo, I believe is Venmo. He sold his company, billionaire, and he started to do this thing. It's called the program is called Don't Die. So his goal is to see is like how healthy he can become. He's 50 years old, but his like biological age is like 18. So yeah, and he said like out of all of the tests that we've done, millions and millions of dollars that went into this. He has like a bunch of doctors on staff. I can't tell you what's more important for your health than just getting enough sleep. It's crazy. But yeah, definitely.
Crazy. And
Yeah.
for those sports fans, I'm a big basketball guy. LeBron says, give a shout out to LeBron. I don't know if does LeBron watch the podcast, Mandel?
Not yet.
Not yet.
He's a
But
sponsor, but he doesn't
it's
watch it.
sponsored. But LeBron's, he's very but he's very intent on getting his 8 to 10 hours a night, 8 to 10, which again, it may not be realistic for all of us, but again, minimum 6, 7, 8, whatever works for your body. And again, but just a schedule. I'm productive. I exercise in the morning, and then because what happens, especially if you exercise many times in the afternoon or the evening, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen, right? Because you get busy in the afternoon or the evening, you're too tired, you have to go out to.
Yeah.
If I do it in the morning, first thing in the morning, right? I see, right? You do it many times before you daven, even, right? Sunrise run, sunrise thing, and I get it in, and that's quiet time. That's alone, right? The Rock, we mentioned the Rock, right? I used to see videos. He's at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in his garage working. Right, the Iron Paradise over there. If you put that work in the morning, and that's your happy hour. That's your nobody can touch you. Can't be touched.
Yeah.
And then it sets off for an incredible day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, what's one mindset or maybe Torah principle that keeps you consistent when it gets difficult, to show up sometimes?
The first thing I thought about immediately is the quotes. You can be sore today, you can be sore tomorrow, or sorry tomorrow. That's a quote of mine I like. And also just the principle of consistency, right? We just had, we read it, those who say korbanos in the morning or in the afternoon, or we just had Rosh Chodesh, so we read it in the parsha of Rosh Chodesh, right? In the Torah, it says, that right across the street over here, right, where the temple was, they would bring a lamb offering every morning without fail, and every evening. And there's actually a medrash which has a machlokis between some rabbis, what's the most important pasuk, the most important verse in the Torah. And one opinion is that's the most important verse in the Torah. And the question is why? Wouldn't the verse of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, God's oneness, or love your friend like you love yourself, or don't kill or murder, Shabbos, why is this such an important pasuk? The answer is consistency. That I love that pasuk, that verse, which inspires me. It says day in, day out. And then it just builds and it becomes easier and easier. It becomes habit. But if somebody's listening to this podcast, Mendel, what I want them to take out is habit, positive, healthy habits. And it's possible. You just have to say, enough is enough. Let's go. I want to take care of my life. I want to invest in myself for the future. I want to start building positive habits. So, even now, yes, for this month, it's difficult. But next month, it gets easier, and then easier and easier and easier. And the gains are infinite. Sky's the limit. So,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Could you share with us, do you have any maybe rules that you have for yourself in terms of food? Even like, let's say, when life could get busy and, it could be easier to, whatever. But do you have any rules that you have specifically for nutrition?
Yeah. Again, I mean, of course, you can discuss, the amount of protein one's taking and to fill up on protein stuff. But the few things that came right to my brain is, number one, we know out of sight, out of mind. If you have, if your pantry or your refrigerator is packed with garbage and junk and snacks and whatever, you're going to eat it. Cookies late at night, you're going to munch. If it's not in the house, it'll be, so you may have to go down the road to 7-Eleven or the gas station to buy something good. So do that. If you get up off your couch and you walk or you drive 15 minutes to get yourself munch, and so be it, but if it's but 90% of the time, if you're eating stuff that's in your house, in your pantry, in your refrigerator, out of sight, out of mind, and just the opposite, what's inside is in mind. So if you see cut up fruits, cut up vegetables, and it's there, it's accessible, right? Many of us just out of boredom, we nosh, but if the food is there, the healthy food, we can make, positive habits. That's really, and then also just, finding healthy foods that one loves. Healthy food is delicious. Yeah. The salmon and avocado and salad. And every day after the gym, I make a delicious smoothie. I'm in heaven. Ask my wife, heaven. And that's packed with blueberries and strawberries and frozen banana, a scoop of protein and some stuff. And a little milk, a little water. And then I blend it up and I'm in heaven. And it's there. It's all there for us. God created the world to give us the greatest level of good, which implies that in the Bria, in the creation itself, there is the greatest level of good. We just have to tap into it. Again, just rewiring. I don't need that pizza. I don't need those burgers. I don't need those fries to give myself pleasure. It's all here. And just got to find those foods. Try it. try, Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So to wrap things up, like the last question, if every Frum family, or a person in the Frum family just made one small change towards living a healthier life this year, whether it could be food, movement, you mentioned sleep also, what do you think would change most in their homes?
I think exactly that if they chose a certain one of those things you just mentioned, I would say, and I'm quoting even what it says in that book over there, that the idea of activity, just, yes, we know in order to lose weight, a person has to watch what they eat, but for heart health and just overall feeling positive of self, one just has to move and exercise and play ball. If a family would all take upon themselves, from young to old, from top to bottom, okay, we're going to start exercising. We'll do family activities, playing ball as a family, the dad playing with the kids, or a family, we'll sign up for the gym, or we're going to go swimming, whatever it is, on a consistent basis. I exactly what you said on 3 levels. I think they're each the relationships with themselves. They would feel more positive with the relationship with self. They would feel positive and better vibes and better jive with the relationship with others. And of course, they would feel better about the relationship with God. Because again, a person going back to relationship with God, if one does not have a positive relationship with self, he won't, right? It says in all the holy works, love your friend like you love yourself. But if you don't love yourself, you can't love your friend. And certainly you won't be able to love God. So if you start with, okay, I'm gonna love myself, and you know what? I'm gonna go back. And even if the family is not gonna exercise, and my dad is too busy, and my wife is, or my mom or my wife, it's not on their radar yet. Okay, they're not holding it. But you know what? Myself, who's listening to this podcast, who sees inspiration, I'm gonna take inspiration now. I'm gonna sign up for a gym. I'm gonna concrete goals. I'm gonna start something. And I'm not gonna give it up in a month. I'm gonna be consistent with it. Small, right? Tofasta more, tofasta. You grab a little bit, you grab. And then you start building habits. And then, yes, you'll see it have a positive effect on the family. It'll bring people together. People feel better about themselves. And it's an aura, it's a light. It's a light that's mispashit, that just goes. And it's healthy and it's real, because you know what? Truth, right, stands. And that's what God's chosam, God's signature is emes, aleph mem tav, which is the first letter, the middle letter, and the last letter, because it's beginning, middle, and end. It's truth. So if you're exercising and you're taking care of your body, not for vanity, right? Like you mentioned in your pot, in the club on WhatsApp, not for vanity, but for health and for realness. And I make kiddush Hashem. I want to be a light to myself, to my community, to the nations. But if I'm fat and out of shape, not only am I not making kiddush Hashem, I'm making a chilul Hashem. It's a desecration of God's name. Because God gave me a body and I can't take care of it. But no, enough is enough. Today is the day. I heard this podcast. It was Siyata Yishmaya. God set it up. I heard this podcast. I'm inspired. I'm going to take action. And step by step, you'll see your impact will affect you, your surroundings, and B'srat Hashem, the world at large.
Yeah. Moshe said, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. If people want to connect with you, as I mentioned, you are a life coach. You also have a very active YouTube account, Instagram account, very motivational stuff there. How can people connect with you?
Sure. So for starters, if somebody wants to follow us on Instagram, the handle is at Coach Moshe Chaim, at Coach Moshe Chaim. On TikTok, we are at Moshe Chaim Proctor. And you can check out our websites. We have a website, like we mentioned, the name of the podcast is Above the Rim and Within. So you can check us out, abovetherimandwithin.com, or we didn't even mention this, but especially for the youth, we give life coaching for youth, and people write the phrase of OTD, off the derech. I don't like that phrase, and it's not off the derech implies it was a derech and the kid went off, but that's where Moshe Weinberger told me years back. But so OTD really stands for on their derech. So you can check us out on ONTHEIR derech DERECH.com, onderderech.com for stuff over there, and perhaps we even for special, those who follow the website, maybe I'll give you my number, Mendel, and I'll give you permission here on the podcast. You can put my number, best to WhatsApp me, and tell me, just, hey, I was inspired, I want to do action, and I'd love to work with you all. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, man. It's really been a pleasure and really great conversation. Thank you,
Mendel. Thank you.